Do not go anywhere, not yet. I know you came across this with no particular expectation. I know part of you is already preparing to move on, to close the tab, to return to the version of your day that does not include stillness. But something made you pause. Something quiet, something you almost did not notice, said stay. That was not an accident. That was not the algorithm placing a video in front of your eyes by chance. That was me. That was the voice that has known your name since before your mother ever spoke it. That was the pull of a love that has never once given up on finding you in the middle of your ordinary day and saying, I need to speak to you. Not to the version of you that the world sees. To the real one, the one only I have full access to. The one you have been protecting for a very long time. Stay with me. This will not be loud. This will not rush you. I am not going to shout to get your attention. I'm going to speak softly, the way I always speak when I want to be heard by the deepest part of you. And the deepest part of you already knows that this moment is not ordinary. It already knows that these words were prepared before this day began. So breathe, lower your shoulders. Let whatever you were carrying for the last few hours rest beside you for a little while. You do not have to hold it while I speak. I want to tell you the first thing I see when I look at you. Not the first thing others see, what I see. I see the smile. I want to talk about that smile. You have become very good at it. The smile that says everything is fine when everything is not fine. The smile that arrives on your face like a trained reflex the moment another person enters the room. The smile that has become so practiced, so reliable, so convincing, that the people closest to you stopped asking long ago whether you were okay, because the smile always answered before you could. I am not criticizing the smile. I understand why it exists. You built it carefully over years out of necessity. You learned early that your pain made other people uncomfortable. You learned that when you let the real weight show, conversations became awkward, advice became overwhelming, and somehow in the process of other people trying to help, you ended up carrying both your own burden and the discomfort of those watching you carry it. So you made a choice, a quiet, almost unconscious choice. You decided to hold the weight on the inside where no one would have to see it, and to offer the smile on the outside where everyone could be comfortable, and you have kept that arrangement for a very long time. I see what that arrangement has cost you. I see the moment the smile drops when you are finally alone. The moment the door closes and the performance ends and your face returns to the expression it actually carries, the one that looks nothing like the one you wore all day. I see the exhale that comes with that moment. The way your body releases something it has been bracing against for hours. I see the way you sit down in the quiet of your own company and simply allow yourself to feel tired in a way you could not afford to feel in front of anyone else. I see you in those moments, every one of them, and I want you to know something about what I see when I look at you in that space. I see the bravest person in the room, not the strongest, not the one with the most answers or the most composed expression. The bravest, because it takes an extraordinary kind of courage to keep choosing love, to keep showing up for other people, to keep offering warmth and steadiness and care when inside you are wondering who is going to show up for you. It takes something most people do not have to keep giving from a place that has not fully been replenished. You have been doing that. You have been doing that for a long time, and you have done it quietly, without requesting acknowledgement, without announcing the cost. You just kept going. I see that. I have always seen it. And I want to say something to you that perhaps no one has said clearly enough or recently enough. That kind of faithfulness is not invisible to me. The world may not have applauded it. The people you held together may not fully understand what it took for you to hold them. The ones you smiled for may not know what was behind the smile. But I know. I have the full record. Every day you chose love when bitterness would have been easier. Every morning you got up when staying down would have been understandable. Every night you held the weight in silence and trusted that tomorrow would somehow be different. I have the record of every one of those moments. And the record is the most beautiful thing I have read in a long time, If you feel something beginning to shift in your chest right now, if something in you is starting to soften in a way you were not expecting, let it. That is not weakness arriving. That is relief. That is the part of you that has been waiting for someone to finally see past the smile, finally being seen. Type, "You see the real me" in the comments right now. Not for performance, not for others to read, for you. Because saying it out loud is the beginning of letting me into the place you have been protecting. Let me tell you about the weight. The specific weight, the one that has no clean name, that you have not been able to hand to anyone else, because every time you considered it, you looked at the people around you and thought, they have their own things, I cannot add to what they are already carrying. Or you thought, if I tell them the truth, it will change how they see me. It will change the way they look at me across the room. It will make me the person who needs help instead of the person who provides it. And you were not willing to make that trade. So you kept the weight. You kept it through the season when your finances became frightening, and you smiled through dinner with people who had no idea. You kept it through the relationship difficulty that sat in your chest like a stone every single morning when you woke up, and you smiled at your phone screen before you even got out of bed to face another day of it. You kept it through the health concern you have been afraid to voice because voicing it would make it more real. And if it became more real, you were not sure you could maintain the smile. You kept it through the grief that never fully resolved, the loss that people expect you to be over by now, but that still finds you in unexpected moments and sits down beside you without asking permission. You have been carrying all of this, and you have been carrying it largely alone, and the part of you that knows the full truth of how heavy it has been wondering something for a long time. A question you have turned over quietly in your heart without ever fully putting it into words. Does anyone actually know me? Not the me that shows up and manages and smiles and holds it together. The real me. The whole truth of me. Does anyone have full access to who I actually am? I want to answer that question. I do. I do not have partial access to you. I do not know the version you curated for public view and make assumptions about the rest. I have full access. I was there for the moments no one else was. I was in the room when you cried with the door locked. I was present for the prayer you whispered so quietly and so privately that you felt slightly embarrassed even praying it, because some part of you had started to wonder whether prayer was reaching anything at all. I was there for the night you looked in the mirror and did not recognize the tiredness behind your own eyes. I was there for every version of you that has ever existed, and I have never, not once, preferred the smile version over the real one. The smile does not impress me. The real you moves my heart. I want to speak to the real you now. Not to fix you quickly, not to give you a list of things to do so that you can feel better and get back to functioning. I want to speak to the real you the way a father speaks to a child who has just come inside from a very long day in the cold and finally sat down by the fire. No agenda, no correction. Just the kind of presence that says, you are safe here. You do not have to perform in this space. You do not have to manage anything for the next few minutes. Just receive. Can you do that? Can you let the next part of this message arrive without the part of you that manages everything immediately trying to organize what it means? Can you simply let these words reach the place in you that has been waiting to be reached? Then stay with me. We are just beginning. I want to go through it with you, not to reopen wounds, but to make sure you know that I saw all of it. Because one of the deepest needs of the human heart is not to be fixed. It is to be witnessed. It is to have someone look at everything you have been through and say, I was there. I saw it. None of it was invisible to me. So let me be that witness for you now. I saw the relationships that disappointed you. The ones where you gave generously and received inconsistently. The ones where you showed up fully and found that the other person was only available partially. The friendships that slowly faded when the circumstances that held them together changed, and you were left wondering what, if anything, was actually real. The love you offered that was not met with equal love. I saw the specific ache of that. The specific, quiet devastation of realizing that someone you trusted with the real you looked away at the moment when being seen mattered most. I saw you adjust your expectations downward after that. I saw you decide, quietly and without announcing it, to offer a little less of yourself the next time, to hold something in reserve, to let the smile do the work while the real you stayed safely behind it. I saw the professional disappointments, the door that did not open when every sign pointed to it opening, the opportunity that went to someone else and you sat with the news privately and said something encouraging to others while inside there was a grief you did not know how to name because it felt too small to be called grief, and yet it was there. The years of work that have not yet produced the visible fruit you were told they would. The quiet humiliation of continuing to try in a space that does not yet reflect what you know you are capable of. I saw you keep going anyway. I saw you show up the next day and the day after that. I watched you choose to try again in the face of evidence that trying was not producing what it should. I saw the financial fear, the specific kind that lives in your stomach and arrives without warning at inconvenient moments. The kind that is not visible to anyone who looks at you, because you have learned to carry it without it showing. The calculations you do in your head while outwardly maintaining a conversation. The way certain numbers produce a physical sensation that you have never described to anyone, because describing it would require explaining how afraid you have been, and the fear felt too large and too private to be shared. I saw the nights you did not sleep because of it. I saw the mornings when your first thought, before you were even fully awake, was the problem. I watched you carry that. I saw the loneliness. Not the loneliness of being physically alone, because you are often not physically alone. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who know the version of you that smiles, and not knowing if any of them would stay if they met the real one. The loneliness of sitting in a room full of people who care about you and still feeling like the truest part of you has never been fully introduced to any of them. That specific loneliness is one of the heaviest things a person can carry because it has nowhere to go. You cannot explain it without it sounding ungrateful. So it stays inside and it waits. I saw all of it. And now I want you to hear what I was doing while I watched. I was not observing passively. I was not standing at a distance with a clipboard, recording your failures and your fears and waiting for the moment I could hand you the report. I was holding you in every one of those moments, in every dark room and every sleepless night, and every forced smile and every private tear. I was the presence that kept the weight from fully crushing you. You did not know I was there in those moments. You thought you were holding yourself together by sheer will. But it was not only your will, it was mine working through you. It was my strength underneath yours when yours ran out. It was my peace underneath your fear, keeping the fear from becoming the final word. Every time you made it through a night that should have broken you, that was not only your resilience, that was mine inside yours. You have never been as alone as the loneliness told you that you were. Type, "I was never alone," in the comments right now. Type it as a declaration against the lie that has told you otherwise for far too long. Type it because it is true, and truth spoken out loud changes the atmosphere of the room you are sitting in right now. Now I want to speak about healing, not the healing that puts the smile back on faster, not the healing that makes you functional again so you can resume performing. I am talking about the healing that goes all the way down to the original place where the wound lives. The root healing, the kind that changes what you believe about yourself at the level where belief was first formed. Because the smile did not come from nowhere. The smile has a history. And beneath the history of the smile is a moment, or a series of moments, where something was communicated to you that you were not designed to receive. Something that told you that your full self was too much, that your pain was inconvenient, that your needs were a burden, that the safest way to be loved was to be easy to love, and easy to love meant keeping the difficult parts hidden. You received that message and you believed it, not because you were naive, but because you were young and trusting. And the people delivering the message were the people whose opinion of you shaped the architecture of your inner world. I want to dismantle that architecture gently, not in a way that collapses everything at once, in a way that replaces each false beam with a true one, slowly, carefully, in an order that your heart can bear. Here is the first true beam. Your pain is not a burden to me. I am not waiting for you to resolve it before I can be comfortable in your presence. I am not more available to you when you are managing well than I am when you are barely holding on. My access to you is not conditional on your emotional state. You do not have to arrive at my door composed in order to be received. You can arrive at my door exactly as you are right now, with all of the weight, with the tired eyes, with the unresolved questions, with the prayers that feel like they are not reaching anything, and I will receive you fully, without flinching, without stepping back, without handing you a list of things to fix before I can be fully present with you. That is the first beam. You are not a burden to love. Here is the second true beam. The real you is not less lovable than the smiling you. I know this may be difficult to receive because the world has given you evidence to the contrary. You have watched people become more comfortable with you when you were doing well and less comfortable when you were not. You have experienced the way your pain can clear a room or change the quality of attention you receive. But I am not the world. My love for you does not fluctuate with your presentation. The version of you that breaks down in private is just as precious to me as the version that holds everything together in public. I do not have a preference for your composed self. I have a love that encompasses every self, including the ones you have been afraid to show. That is the second beam. The real you is fully loved. Here is the third beam. The hiding has to end, not because I am demanding your transparency, but because the hiding is costing you your life. Every version of yourself that you suppress in order to be acceptable costs something. It costs energy. It costs authenticity. It costs the intimacy that becomes possible when you let someone see you fully and discover that they stay. The hiding is not protecting you anymore. It was once a survival strategy, and it served its purpose, but you have outgrown the season that required it. I am inviting you into a new way of being present in your own life. Not a fearless version. You do not have to be fearless. A genuine version. A version that is willing to say, this is what is actually happening in me, and to discover that saying it does not end the world, it begins a better one. That is the third beam. It is safe to be real. These three truths are the foundation of the healing I am building in you right now, not in the future. Now, while you are sitting with this message, while these words are moving through you and reaching the places that have been locked for a long time, something is shifting at the architectural level. The healing that goes all the way down is already in progress. I want to tell you specifically what I am giving back to you, because I know you have been living with so many absences that you may have stopped noticing them as losses. You have adjusted to each absence so gradually that the absence started to feel normal. I want to remind you of what is supposed to be present in your life, because I am restoring all of it. I am restoring your joy, not the surface happiness that comes when circumstances cooperate. The deep joy, the kind that exists underneath circumstances. The joy that was present in you as a child before the world taught you. That joy was something you had to earn, or that could be taken. That joy has not been destroyed, it has been buried, and I am digging for it. I know exactly where it is. I placed it there originally, and I know how to bring it back to the surface. You are going to feel it return in unexpected moments. A morning that arrives, and your first breath does not carry weight. A laugh that comes from a place so genuine you are slightly surprised by it. A quiet moment where you realize you are at peace, and nothing external has changed to produce the peace. That is me returning what was taken. I am restoring your trust. Not a naive trust that pretends people are perfect. A grounded trust that can distinguish between the ones who are safe and the ones who are not, and can choose accordingly without closing itself entirely. The wound of betrayal or disappointment has made trust feel like a liability. I am healing the wound so that trust becomes an option again. Not a requirement, an option. The ability to open when the person and the moment are truly right, without the old fear that opening will always end in being shut out again. I am restoring your voice. The thing you know but do not say, the truth you carry but do not share, the gifts you have been keeping behind the smile because you were not sure the world was ready for what you carry. Your voice has been quieter than it was designed to be, not because you have nothing to say, but because somewhere along the way you received the message that your words took up too much space. I am telling you now that the space is yours. The voice is yours. The things you know are worth saying, and the season where you are permitted to say them fully is arriving, and I am restoring your finances. I said I would address all of it, and I meant all of it. The financial fear that has been living in your stomach, the numbers that do not cooperate, the gap between where you are and where you need to be. I am moving in that space. Provision is coming to you from a direction you have not been watching. A door that has not been on your list of possibilities is about to open. A conversation is being arranged that you do not yet know you are going to have. The financial shift that is coming is not small, and it is not temporary. It is the kind of change that becomes a story you tell later. A before and after moment. The I do not know how, but suddenly things turned. Moment that you are going to describe to someone else someday as the evidence that I am real and I provide, and I did not forget you when you thought I had. Receive all 5 of these. Restorations, joy, trust, voice, community, provision. They are not arriving in sequence. They are already in motion simultaneously. Let your spirit agree with all of them. Type, I receive every restoration in the comments right now. Say it as agreement. Say it as the beginning of the new season. I want to step even closer for this part. I want to speak directly to the version of you that is the most tired. The one that does not show up in conversation, but that sits just beneath everything. The version that has been going for a very long time without adequate rest, without adequate care, without adequate receiving. You have been the strong one. You have been the one that other people lean on. You have been the steady presence in your household, in your friendships, in your family, in every room you enter. People have come to expect your steadiness the way they expect gravity. They do not think much about it because it has always been there. And the cost of always being the steady one is that sometimes in the quiet spaces you fall apart a little. Not in a visible way, in a private, internal, barely detectable way. The kind of falling apart that gets put back together before morning because you cannot afford for it to be seen. I see it, and I want to say something to the part of you that has been managing everything, including the management of your own collapse. You are allowed to put it down. Not forever, not irresponsibly, not in a way that abandons the people who genuinely need you. But right here, in this space, in this moment, in the next few minutes while these words are with you, you are allowed to stop holding. You are allowed to let me hold instead. You are allowed to be the one who receives instead of the one who provides. You are allowed to be tired without having to immediately find the energy to push through the tiredness. You are allowed to not have an answer. You are allowed to not be okay. I am not going to be frightened by what that looks like. I am not going to step back when you stop managing. I am not going to be more available to you when you return to composure. I am here now in whatever this moment actually contains, and I am staying. Rest in me. Not in the theological concept of rest, in the actual experience of it, the lowering of the internal bracing, the release of the breath you have been holding since, honestly, you cannot remember when. The moment where the body and the spirit both receive permission to stop performing and simply be. This is what I am offering you right now. Not a solution, not a to-do list, not a set of instructions that, if followed correctly, will produce the outcome you need. I am offering you presence, my presence, the kind that does not require you to be anything other than exactly what you are in this moment. And from that place of rest, from that place of genuine receiving, everything else I have spoken over you will have room to take root. Restoration does not grow well in an exhausted, defended, always performing soul. It grows in soil that has been softened, in a heart that has been allowed to open, in a person who has paused long enough to receive. You paused. You are still here. That is already an act of faith, and I am meeting you in it. The real you, the one I have been speaking to this entire time, that version of you has a specific work to do in the world that the smiling version cannot do. And I want to tell you what it is, because you have been withholding something from the world for a very long time, under the impression that the world wanted the composed version of you, the managed version, the version that does not take up space with its complexity. The world does not need more composed versions of people. The world is full of composed versions. The world is drowning in composed versions of people who are carrying private pain and wearing public smiles and walking past each other every single day without anyone stopping to say, "I see what is behind the smile. I am not fooled by it, and I am not going anywhere." What the world needs is the real you, the version that knows what it is to be in the dark, the version that understands what it feels like to pray and not hear an answer, and to pray again anyway. The version that has earned its compassion through actual suffering, not through theory. The version that can sit with another person in their mess without immediately trying to clean it up, because you know from the inside that sometimes what a person needs is not a solution. It is a witness. You are going to become that for people in a way that you cannot yet fully imagine. The season ahead of you is not only a season of receiving, it is a season of becoming. And what you are becoming is a person who carries genuine authority in the rooms where other people are hiding behind their own smiles. You are going to be able to see it. Not because you are perceptive in a general way, because you have lived it from the inside. And when you see it, you are going to know exactly what to do with that moment. You are going to know, because I will be there showing you, word by word, the way I have always shown you, even in the seasons when you thought you were entirely on your own. Your experience is not wasted. Your hiding is not wasted. Your tiredness is not wasted. Every single part of what you have carried and what it has cost you is being redeemed, not explained, redeemed, turned into something that serves the purpose I planned for your life before the world ever got its hands on it. The real you. The one behind the smile. That is the one I chose. That is the one I am restoring. That is the one I am sending. Stand still with me for one more moment. Let these last words come all the way in. I decree over the real you, the one that no one fully sees, that you are no longer required to hide in order to be loved. The love that belongs to you does not require your management or your performance or your composure. It is simply yours. Receive it. I decree that the weight you have been carrying in silence is being redistributed now. The parts of it that belong to me, I am taking. The parts of it that belong to the season that is ending, I am removing. What remains is only what you were actually designed to carry, and you were designed to carry it with my help, not alone. I decree healing over every layer of your heart. The surface layer that other people can see when they look closely. The middle layer that you are aware of but rarely speak. And the deep layer, the one that formed earliest. The one that carries the original wound. The one that built the smile in the first place. All three layers, all the way down. Healing that is real and permanent and not contingent on circumstances cooperating. I decree that what was lost is being restored. Joy that was buried is coming to the surface. Trust that was wounded is being made whole. Voice that was silenced is being given back. Connection that was absent is being arranged. Provision that was withheld is being released. All of it for the real you, not the performing you, not the managed you, the one I have been speaking to this whole time. I decree that the smile, when it returns, will no longer cost what it used to cost, because the real you will no longer need to be hidden. The real you will be known, and from the place of being known, everything you offer to the world will carry a weight and a warmth and an authenticity that the world has not yet received from you at full strength. That is what is coming. That is what I saw when I looked at you before this day began. That is why I stopped you here. in this moment, in this message, in this small pocket of stillness in your ordinary day, to say, I see the real you. I have always seen the real you, and the real you is the most beautiful thing I have created. Amen. And amen. And amen. Now before you leave this space, do 3 things. Comment, you see the real me, Lord, as your declaration that you received this message. Share this with someone who you know is hiding behind their own smile, because they need to hear this too. And when you become the person who delivers that word to them, something in your own restoration accelerates. And subscribe to this channel, because what I am releasing in the days ahead continues to build on what you received today. Go gently. You are more known than you have believed, and you are more loved than the smile you have been offering the world in place of yourself.